team here in Jamaica, and the former champions who were 15 nights ago the champions of Jamaica against the Central FC out of Trinidad and Tobago, the many-time Pro League champions, struggling in their league at the minute, but managing to get to the semi-finals of the Caribbean Club Championship. My name is Wayne Walker, working out this evening with Orville Higgins. First semi-final done and dusted, now put to bed by the Club Atletico Pajoa team out of the Dominican Republic, beating the Portmore United team by 4-3. A double from Eduardo Centeno, and of course two from Luis Espinal. So 2 players on target for the Atletico Pajoa team. They're waiting on the winner of this one. And as we look in the stands, the fans are settling in and getting ready to enjoy what they expect to be an outstanding game. And of course, the fans littered right across the mini stadium here at the Tony Spalding Sports Complex. Orville, Arnett Gardens against Central, we spoke about it earlier. We're expecting a cracker-jacker. These 2 teams, representatives of Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago, and even a jacks game between these 2 countries is never ever easy to officiate, to play in, or to even watch sometimes.
Yeah, it's expected, Wayne, to be an all-out attacking game. I don't know if we'll see 7 goals like we did in the previous game, but it's expected to be a game full of running. Arnett Gardens knows no other way to play. They're always an attacking force. And from what I have heard about Central FC and from the little I've seen, they are a team that comes to play as well. There they are being led out. And with the crowds a little bit more, not by any means a massive crowd here, but the Arnett Gardens crowd will be supported well. And let's see how they can use that to their advantage.
So the Concacaf anthem being played, Arnett left of screen, and the Central team wearing their familiar color. Of course, contrasting colors, blue and red. Central used to wear. Now they're operating in dark and light blue. And of course, they're wearing white stockings tonight. Arnett in their traditional red and black and red stocking. Of course, they're understaffed tonight because they're without a number of their outstanding players, a number of the players who we all come to know here in these parts. And of course, most notably of whom is O'Neill Thompson missing tonight, Jason Moore missing tonight, Jahil is missing as well, and there's another player whose name escapes me at the moment. But they're going to operate with who they have tonight, and they've put together a young team mixed with some experience. And they're expecting that this combination that they've put together will do the business for them.
The one that they'll miss the most, Wayne, is, of course, O'Neill Bigger Thompson. He's the most inspirational leader of footballers, I would argue, in Jamaica over the last maybe half a dozen years. He doesn't always wear the captain's armband, but there's absolutely no doubt that he's the man. There's the toss and the exchange of... What do they exchange here, Wayne? I've always seen it. Exchange of... I know cricket teams exchange teams.
Basically gifts.
Exchanging gifts.
They just give gifts to each other, and, you know...
Referee
so
Brian Lopez.
Yeah, and the captain there, Denzel Tibble of Central. He's also one of the best-known football players in Trinidad and Tobago. So we're looking here at the Arnett Gardens lineup, and Damien Height, a national player. Not the #1 in Jamaica as far as goalkeepers are concerned, but he's in the national setup. Vishnal Harrison, number 8, in and out of the national team, plagued by injuries. And on the bench, there's Kamal Malcolm, who went away, did well in the university. Newton Sterling played in Trinidad, so he knows a lot of these players here. And of course, Shamarley Clayton. So Arnett is well served. They're coached by Jerome Waite, who is at the moment the assistant coach of the national team. Now, if you look at the Central team, there are 1 or 2 Trinidad and Tobago internationals in it. And as we go along, in fact, there are 3 of them who played in the 2006 World Cup finals. So they have loads of experience. There's also a player in this squad at the moment who played in Belgium. His brother played in the Champions League just the other day. He's not starting tonight. That's him, John Johan Peltier. He played in Belgium at one stage. His brother appeared in the Champions League this year. So they also served with some outstanding players as well. But the man they're going to be looking out for tonight is Tyrone Charles. He's one nippy player, and the Trinidad and Tobago team will be depending largely on him. Just now, Newton Sterling was telling me that he told his coach about him and what he's capable of. So they've got to put something in place for him. This little nippy number 9, Tyrone Charles.
I did speak to Coach Jerome Waite on my program on the floor earlier today, and as I was saying at the start, he just doesn't sound as optimistic about his chances as he usually does. I asked him if some of those issues that plagued Arnett Gardens towards the back end of the Red Stripe Premier League season, if those are over and behind them, and he admitted that they were not. and it's just the job he has is to lift his team for an occasion like this.
The man with the whistle is Brian Lopez out of Guatemala, and he's assisted by Kedley Paul, formerly of Jamaica, now works under the banner of the Cayman Islands, and Iroots Appleton out of Antigua. And if you were with us for the first game, all the referees who worked in that game are going to the World Cup. And the fourth official is going to. It will be his third straight World Cup. So a very accomplished set of officials worked in the first game, which ended 4-3 in favor of the Pantoja team out of the Dominican Republic.
One thing with this Arnett Gardens team, when we know that they'll put it down, they'll play fast, they'll play furious, and once the crowd gets behind them, they can be a difficult team to beat, irrespective of the personnel involved. Let's see how much the crowd gets behind them. I've always had a difficulty with Jamaican crowds. They sometimes get involved as an early foul. They get involved when their team is doing well, but when their team is not doing well, they tend not to be as vociferous as they can be. A player is down.
Looks like Jabor from Arnett Gardens, Jabor Johnson, and one of the outstanding right fullbacks in the country, yet to really break his way into the national team, but you just get the impression that he's right on the bubble, and any moment now it can happen for him. A free kick to Arnett Gardens, swung dangerously in the area. Central called upon to defend very early. They have great attacking possibilities in their team, and of course we did tell you about Dennis Tibble. Akim Armstrong is also another top man. Karen Cummings on the ball.
Yeah.
Pushed over by Vishnal Harris.
Yeah, Vishnal Harris just stepping into his man there. It will be interesting to see how he goes when 2 years ago he was easily probably the best attacking midfielder in Jamaica. Gone off the boil a little bit after being plagued with injuries. And it's interesting to see how he goes.
Damian Hyatt.
Wow.
So we're not in black. Well, yes, we're in black, but it's not deliberate. Having a power outage here, and we've had one or two of these during the run during the Red Stripe Premier League season. So much so, a game was held up for about 20 or 25 minutes, believe it or not. And let's see how much longer we're going to have to wait before the power is returned. It's going to take a while to power up back, if you like, when it gets back on, and the fans are taking the opportunities to get their mobile phone lights on. And on television it looks like a nice spectacle, but if you're inside the venue, it's not all that beautiful.
Can we say it's scary?
No, not quite.
Not quite. I wouldn't want to be a visiting player playing in a stadium with potentially hostile crowds, and then bam, it's total darkness. Granted, the crowd here is fairly calm at the moment, but this isn't good.
It's happened 2-3 times too often, and something they've got to address, I think, because it's just totally unacceptable. And when you step up to this kind of level, you're basically operating at the second tier at this side of the world. The next tier has got to be Concacaf, and then you're onto the global stage fully. And this stadium was passed by Concacaf representatives who passed through here on Monday, actually. In fact, when they came initially to look at the stadium, they were not so impressed, and there were doubts on whether they could stage it here. And when they came back on Monday to do their inspection, their final set of inspection, they were so awed by what they saw, and then this. And
can this be prevented, though? Is it possible that there can be some kind of standby generator that will ensure that this doesn't happen?
Well, a stadium like this should have something. In fact, a stadium like this should have at least 2 or 3 of them. This is a mini stadium, and you expect at least 2 of them on either side of the stadium. So, and it chips in almost immediately. Really, Brian? Really, Brian? Really, Brian? But of course, that's what you do as a professional until you're told you're off. Jeez. All right, cool. So welcome back to the Tony Spalding Sports Complex here in Kingston, Jamaica. And apologies to our viewers wherever you are. We had a power outage totally beyond our control. We're off for just about 19, maybe 20 minutes. It's about 30 seconds into the game. The power went and we had to sit here and endure the darkness for that period of time. The players had to get themselves back up for the game. They kept warm during the power outage, and now they're ready to go. Referee Brian Lopez was just looking at his watch, so resetting his watch, and he gets us underway once again. So we start at 2 minutes 02, and it's Central FC out of Trinidad and Tobago against Arnett Gardens. Lest we remind you, it's the second semi-final in the Flow Caribbean Club Football Championship. The winner to battle at Club Atletico Pantoja out of the Dominican Republic for the $50,000 on Sunday night right here on the title of Caribbean champions, and most importantly, a spot automatically in the Concacaf Club Championship. My name is Wayne Walker. Let's reintroduce you to the team. Orville Higgins is my co-commentator. Orville, the players had to, well, I was going to say sit through it, but they were all standing. We're all trying to keep themselves warm. It's very important for sports people to keep themselves warm in situations like these. And as professional athletes, these things do happen and you have to deal with it.
Right. It's important that neither team allow this to discombobulate them in any way. They were bouncing the ball around, keeping warm. The delay was, as you said, maybe 19, 20 minutes. And because they were warm, it should not unduly affect them. Let's hope that we don't have a repeat and that we'll have a good game.
Throw into Arnett Gardens over on the far side. Player of the year in Jamaica. Oh, skimming the top of the net. And there are one or two fans here shouting goal. And whenever a player as outstanding as Fabian Reed gets over something like this, and it's always going to be dangerous. He's a sharp shooter for club and country, and he's in prime form. And guess what? He knows all these players well. He played 2 years in the Trinidad Pro League, so he knows them like the back of his hand, as we'd say in local parlance. A corner to Arnett very early in the piece, taken from the near side. They've got 4 players in the box waiting, 2 lurking on the edge of the area. Let's see what this will be like. And it's bubbling around in the area. Now Central can get it away. Nervous, anxious moments for the Trinis. To spend the last couple of minutes defending against this Arnett Gardens wave.
Arnett Gardens certainly has started this game when, as we expect them to start as the home team, they've started off quite briskly. And at that first shot, there's Marvin Morgan in your picture there. That shot by Fabian Reed, not quite sure if it was a shot or a cross, but certainly created the first few seconds of excitement.
Harris looking for the give and go. Didn't quite get there, but he's showing good upper body strength to keep off the rivals from Central. Shout for a handball. Player down in the process. Referee Brian Lopez going across to make sure everything is okay with him.
And the contrast here, Wayne, between what this referee did in this game and what happened in the previous game. Fairly similar incident, a player hit in the face by a ball in a fairly similar position as well. One referee allowed that the game to continue. This one stopped the game.
It's Daniel Cyrus, the player who went down. Very experienced player. 74 times he's played for Trinidad and Tobago.
Interestingly, Marvin Morgan there, Wayne, was appealing for the handball while the player was holding on to his face. I don't know if there was some play acting going on here. Would be interesting to see that again
when we get the opportunity. So Central having a bit of problems getting the ball away from their area. Arnett Gardens, it's all over them in these early stages. So I was telling you, Daniel Sanros, who has played 74 times for Trinidad and Tobago, very, very, very experienced player, and you can't buy that, especially in as crucial an area as the defensive quarters. Clearance there from bigger Thompson lookalike, Al Nesbeth. I'm so sure if they deliberately went for a player with the same size, same body structure, almost everything. It's almost a carbon copy of Neil Thompson, only that he doesn't play as close to his goalkeeper as Thompson does. He strays a lot.
And one thing we have seen here, Wayne, is that neither team is allowing the other team to too much time on the ball. It's hard-pressing game from both teams. They are not allowing each other to put down the ball and play.
So a feeling out process. No Hiram's Karam that we saw in the first game. Here Pantoa got no fewer than 3-4 opportunities in their early stages, maybe in the first 8 or so minutes. And players are handling the ball a lot early via the throw route. Reniki Anderson, one of the mainstays in the Arnett Gardens team when he can stay fit and when he can keep the weight off. This is Marvin Morgan.
Not sure that I agreed with just giving up a throw like that, Wayne. He didn't try to turn or bang it downfield. That was just giving up a throw 10 yards away from the corner flag. I'm not sure that that was the most responsible defending ever.
Corner to Arnett Gardens. This is their second corner to be taken from the opposite side from which the first was taken. And Marvin Morgan is a player reborn. Really have the new lease on life. Went off the rails 2 or 3 seasons after leaving St. George's College with his name in lights almost every week at the school level. But now, at 26 years old, he's a really old man in football terms, and he knows it. And he's looking for one last bang, and he hopes that this is the kind of platform that will get him there.
Again, another whistle, Wayne. This game has seen a lot of stops and starts. Neither team is allowing each other to settle down. And there's the number 11 player, Darren Mitchell, just holding on to his man. And the whistle on the play, quite rightly.
Header away from the danger area for Central. Here's Arnett Gardens. The outstanding Vishnal Harris. Now Morgan. Cross. Move away from the goalkeeper, landing almost on the dime on the top of the 18. But it's still Arnett with possession. An almost immediate release from Vishnal Harris. Here's Nesbeth, Bigger Thompson lookalike. And Bigger, for those watching in Jamaica, I'm sure you'd know who he is. But O'Neill Thompson played in Norway and also had a stint in England as well in the lower divisions before coming back home.
Not the most fluent of starts. We've played just a little bit under 9 minutes.
Jerome Waite, coach of the Arnett Gardens team, and he's also the national assistant coach. Rarely ever sits. This is Vishnal Harris looking to get his way back into the national setup. He's battled injuries when fit, unmatched in midfield in Jamaica, anywhere. High loping ball. It's falling for Nesbeth. He's beaten in that aerial battle. Here's Central. Coming forward to Tyrone Charles. This is a player that the Arnett Gardens team will have to keep an eye on.
And Charles was really running there away from his other players. Nobody there to support him. And that is one of the things that is happening to this Central FC team. Just not really combining and stringing passes together. And they'll hope to be doing better in that regard.
Here they are, using up the full length of the field, width of the field as well. Harris, very calm, cool customer. One of those Raquelme-type midfield player who concentrate on doing the simple things. And he does the simple things very well. Sometimes almost just too cool. Here's Charles. Bringing Anthony Wolf. Wolf is one of the players who played for Trinidad and Tobago in the 2006 World Cup. Here he is in number 17, just releasing the ball. He also had a stint in India. 34 caps for Trinidad and Tobago at a senior international. Taking their time, patient build-up for the Central team. And they're making strides, taking small steps and inching their way ever so closer to the Arnett Gardens 18-yard area.
I like the tactical battles going on and I know I've said it before, but look, neither team is allowed to set. Look at that. The ball was passed and the defender righted him right away. Another foul committed. So neither team getting too much space, even in the middle of the park. Both teams high pressing. And you can see there, and Jabir Johnson, the minute the number 8 got the ball, that is Armstrong. Jabir Johnson was right there behind him, committing the foul in the process, but it shows that neither team giving an inch at the moment.
So Stern John is the man who conditions this Central team. And Central is a very young team as well. They were founded in 2012, so they're just 6 years old, and they've made such an impact on regional football. They've gone on to win the Caribbean Club Football Championship twice, and they've won the Trinidad and Tobago Pro League 3 times. Here they are with the free kick. Clearance on the edge of the area by of all persons, Vishal Harris. And one of the interesting things about the Central team, they're called the Sharks, and of course they struggled in the Trinidad and Tobago Pro League. They finished just about 9th, and it's a 12-team pro league, no, actually a 10-team pro league, and they finished 9th. Didn't do very well at all, only winning 4 games. They've lost 9, and they drew 5 of them. So not the greatest of forms domestically, but that they are into the semi-finals of the club championship tells you about them. It's almost like a replica of Real Madrid. They're not doing well domestically, but they are bullies when it comes to Europe.
Interesting the way in Tyrone Charles that you were speaking about. He switched from the right-hand side, gone over to the left-hand side. I don't know why he would have done that this early, but it's a good ball.
Ball played back to a goalkeeper, and this is the most experienced goalkeeper in all of Caribbean football, Marvin Phillip. 65 caps for TNT. Going up in age, 33 years old, but because he's a goalkeeper, doesn't affect him as much as it would an outfield player. But right now he's Trinidad's #1. That's Turn John. He's #3 on the all-time list of individual goal scorers in history. Over 70-odd goals to Trinidad and Tobago. Not many players. In fact, I think he's #2 all-time in history. That's remarkable. And Turn John, without question, one of the greats in regional football. This is Marvin Morgan on his way there. It's still some way to get there. Free kick one here by Central as they go forward.
Marvin Morgan there just nipping at the heels of his man. He's done more defensive work or more tackling than he's done what he's there to do.
I'm so sure Stern John would want to feel as comfortable as he would want to with the Central team. They're just 6 years old, but they've changed coaches 5 times already. He's the 5th one, and he's one of 2 Trinidad and Tobago former internationals to coach a team. They've gone with Graham Ricks, a British national. He would resign in 5 months. Then they brought in Terry Fennick, another Englishman. Then they went for Zoran Vranis from Serbia, who went on to coach a national team as well. Then they went to Dale Saunders, a Trinidad and Tobago international, and now Stern John. So they don't keep them very long. So Stern John's got to do the business here tonight. Free kick to Arnett Gardens over on the far side, sporting the black and red, just in case you're joining us for the first time. And as you see at the top left-hand corner of your screen, Central against Arnett.
All right, Oldham now has the opportunity to float it, get some people forward. We see Ronike Anderson coming up out of defense, going just on the edge of the box.
Ball floated in. A chance here for Arnett Gardens. How did Vishal Harris miss that one? He had the goal gaping, the goalkeeper clearly beaten and had already given up. And Vishal Harris, all he had to do was to put the ball in the back of the net. And the only thing he needed not to do was what he did.
The cross coming over, the defense didn't get it. Ronike Anderson, oh, how did he miss that? The goalkeeper was advancing, but he should have done a lot better with that. I know that's a cliche that commentators should use, but he just dragged it wide. The ball never hit the sweet spot, never hit the laces, and really just dribbled off the foot.
He would want that back.
And it may live to rue this one way.
9 out of 10 times Vishal Harris would score that, and the only time that he would miss, he did it just now.
But whether he didn't realize that he had a little bit more time than he actually did. The goalkeeper was advancing, and again, this is another foul. We've seen a lot of this. It's been a very physical game so far.
Darren Mitchell, it is in his 5th season at Central, almost there from the start. Joined the club 1 year after its inception, so he's a veteran. The club, the number 11. Well, the Arnett Gardens releasing a number of their young guns tonight, if you like. That's him. That's Darren Mitchell.
All right, so another free kick.
And Nesbitt has come forward for it. And every time I look at Nesbitt, I'm almost tempted to say O'Neill Thompson. Mannerism, height, size, everything. And here he is with a long kick in the midfield, in the 18-yard area. Almost well done. A shot and go. Oh, what a wonderful save by Marvin Phillip. You expect these things from him. He's such an outstanding goalkeeper. He's Trinidad's #1.
Absolutely well struck by Lennox Russell when he was running on, and unlike what we saw from Visional Harris, this one was struck with some venom. There is the mistake by the defender, and Lennox Russell ran on. That was heading inside the near post, so that wasn't just for show. That would have gone in. Good work by the goalkeeper.
Corner for Arnett Gardens, and it trickles behind, and it's another corner. So Arnett Gardens asking a lot of questions of this central defense. They've answered them quite well. In particular, that outstanding save from Marvin Phillip, Trinidad's number 1. What an outstanding save. It was a full-blooded shot from Russell, and all of Phillips was needed to keep that one out. Here they are with a second successive corner. This time is gone to the far post. Chance for Visional Harris, and headed back more in hope than anything else. And there's a bit of respite for the central team. Jerome Waite having a chat with his staff about it.
Very animated. But he must feel, he must be the happier of the two coaches at the moment. When his team is creating more opportunities, he's missed at least one clear-cut chance and had the goalkeeper saving another one. So he must be the happier of the two coaches at the moment.
3-0 Arnett won the last time they met, but they've had a couple of meetings down the years because the central team is almost always in the semi-finals here, and Arnett Gardens are almost always winning the championship here in Jamaica, at the very least finishing second, which gets them into competitions like these as well. So they know each other very, very well, and the coaches know each other very well as well. So it should be a really, really nice battle. The game is simmering, and Arnett Gardens having just a slight advantage in terms of the territorial possession of the football and the opportunities created. Throw into central over on the far side.
A bad throw. He just throw the ball away, giving the other team a chance to build, and they in turn return the favor, just giving the ball away.
This is Phillip. Mitchell was the target. Well, not quite. It was Charles. Harris, ball just flicking up on his hand. The referee knows that it was more ball to hand than anything else.
Visional Harris not having the greatest of starts. You did say when he's on top of his game, he's as good as anyone in Jamaica in the attacking midfield position. So far, he hasn't quite hit his stride. But with quality players like that, sometimes it can just be clicked on.
Just want to see the matchup between himself and Denzel Tibble. Tibble has 98 internationals for Trinidad and Tobago, and he was one of those who was not only in the squad in the 2006 World Cup, but he actually played in the game against England. The matchup between himself and Visional Harris. Here he is on the ball. Denzel Tibble, quality midfield player. Still called upon by Trinidad and Tobago from time to time, but it's an outstanding player, isn't he? And that little matchup between himself and Visional Harris probably could be the deciding factor tonight.
Marvin Morgan, we've played almost 20 minutes away, and he seems to be a little bit more inclined to play a rough and tumble football. He hasn't yet made any meaningful contributions, and usually when he has a great game, it rubs off on his teammates.
It's one of those players that you don't need to see in 90-minute action. He's a player who can change the game on a dime. So talented, and he's a very brave football player as well. He's not afraid to mix it up. Here's Arnett Garden. This is Russell. Had a shot save maybe 4 or 5 minutes ago that had goal written all over it. Arnett gets another corner. Nesbitt coming forward a lot more, and now he's heading to the 18-yard area to use his size advantage to Arnett's advantage if he can. And Arnett flinging players forward. Jabbar Johnson is also going forward.
Yeah, Arnett Garden certainly moving the ball around. It is creating some problems.
Russell with the corner from the near side. This is Arnett's fourth corner. Very good corner. Dealt with easily and efficiently in the end. Wide central. But they've got to defend against another one. No problems at all there for Marvin Phillip. Renike Anderson attempting to get the ball in the central area, and inadvertently got it back into his area and put his defenders under a bit of pressure. All's well now though, because Arnett is attacking over on the far side. Whistle on the play from referee one Kedley Powell.
Player has gone down.
Let's have a look at it again. Here it is. So Fabian Reed just bracing into the Trinidad number 5, Daniel Cyrus. And
I'm not sure I agree that that was a foul, though, Wayne. I'm not sure. The player went over Fabian Reed. I'm not sure that Fabian Reed did much wrong there, but the referee was much closer to the action. Reed offers a hand in peace.
And look at the size disadvantage as far as Reed is concerned, because Cyrus is a huge player.
And look at it again. I don't know that Fabian Reed did too much wrong there. The two arms were tangled in each other. But the referee chose to give the call to the man that went down.
Here he is back in action. Chance for Arnett Gardens to go forward with intent. Marvin Morgan just couldn't pick the pass. And now he appeals to the referee to call the play back. The referee has obliged. And it's possession. Arnett Gardens, almost say Jamaica. But it's Jamaica. It's another version of Jamaica versus Trinidad and Tobago, whichever way you look at it. And because of that, it adds a bit more spice to anything these two teams come up against each other with. This is Charles, very nippy little player, just linking up the play here. It's almost like a training session just now with that move. They call it spotting. Here's a little maestro, Tibble. Charles, patient build-up. Charles, was it a shot or was he trying to pick out Dennis?
I think he was going for the shot, but that really wasn't the kind of thing that the doctor would have ordered. It's almost a lazy attempt by Charles. They were knocking the ball around, which is what the Central FC team has to do. But that was a very almost lackadaisical effort at goal by Charles. He really needs to do better than that.
Damien Hyatt yet to really be forced into action. We've not seen anything from the Central team that would really pique his interest. Well, not yet. Tibble. Darren Mitchell turns expertly away from Anderson. And you just get the impression that the two teams have now fully settled into this game.
Good ball movements here by the Central FC team, but then giving the ball away. They're knocking it around.
Russell to Harris. Nesbeth is brought into the play. Now this is Charles. He's got Harris on him. And Nesbeth intervening, forced the mistake from Charles.
One of the things that's happening there, Wayne, is that when Charles gets it and goes to that solo run on the right, Armstrong isn't coming in to offer assistance. So he's almost lonely out on this right-hand side. He's not knocking and then going in our position to receive the return pass. And that is something that you have to do. You can't just pass the ball. You've got to pass it and then you yourself move into a position of space. And that didn't happen that time around.
It's just Tibble in the middle. And you can see the quality whenever he has the way he handles the football and the way he distributes it. Here he is again on the football, Tibble, linking up the play, calling for the ball at every opportunity he gets. You just want to think that while it's a midfield battle there between himself and Vishnal Harris, you've got to get the player a lot closer to him. He can affect this game in a dangerous way for Central with these little short, snappy passes and his intellect, his football intellect. Here's Arnett Gardens, and the play's been called back. Yes, Tamara Edwards winning a free kick for his team. Oh, look at it again.
Yeah, he definitely...
Cummings' hand was all over him.
Yeah.
And eventually brought him down. Russell. Harris. Still Harris. Now Nesbeth.
Offside. You said Nesbeth reminds you of Bigger Thompson. He certainly doesn't build.
Well, not necessarily the quality of his play.
Right.
And
he's doing a lot of attacking work, especially down this left-hand side of the side closest to your camera here.
Clearance by Jamar Martin. And it finds Tibble. Tibble moving like the leader of a band, just orchestrating things. Here's Nesbeth. Now Russell, he has the freedom of the Tony Spalding Sports Complex. What will he do with it?
And I tell you, Wayne, if you look at this, and I don't know if our production crew can just get this back. I remember Linda Della Pella telling me something a few years ago, that football is a simple game. When your side has the ball, your teammates must run into space. Russell had the ball and his teammates were not peeling away into space to give him that option, and in the end he didn't see a pass and he had a very optimistic shot at goal. We're not seeing people running in separate directions, and it is happening to the Central FC team as well.
And just for clarity and for the viewers elsewhere, Linda Della Pena, a former national footballer from Jamaica, in fact the first Jamaican to play in Europe, and he did very well. Played at Middlesbrough, and unfortunately passed away 3 or 4 years ago. One of the best and most versatile sportsmen Jamaica has ever produced, because he also did athletics, he played hockey, outstanding man, played golf as well, yes. So that's the person we're talking about. This is Tibble once again. He's come deep for it and he's just pulling the strings, and Charles back to goal. Has Tibble in front of him. He also has Cummings in front of him, but he decides to play to Mitchell. Mitchell was trying to peel away from his marker, and Nesbitt with a good old-fashioned swing of that right leg. And,
oh, the defender made a mistake.
Marvin Morgan capitalizing on it.
Not sure Marvin is playing his best game here, Wayne. It started a little uncertain for him, and after almost half an hour, yes, made
2017.
A little impact as Morgan so far.
If you said 2017, I was just trying to memorize what I've been told by my producer, that Lindbergh Lloyd Della Pena passed away unfortunately last year. He'd say about 2 or 3 years ago, or was actually last year. So much we miss him, eh? Cyrus. Trinidad and Tobago players, they're very big in the body structure. Mitchell.
Look at that, Wayne. Kevin Cummings passed the ball to Mitchell and then just stood up. Didn't run into position. Didn't try to get himself into space for return ball. Look at that. We're not seeing the players peeling off, and now the player has to make a backward pass as opposed to an attacking pass, because his teammates are not creating that option for him.
Here's a chance for Fabian Reed. A very, very dangerous striker. Marvin Morgan linking up with him nicely. Still Reed will go for a shot, no question about it. And it wasn't far away. It just came past the left upright. This is an instinctive striker, possibly the most instinctive of strikers in Jamaica. He knows where the goal is, and he always looking for it whenever he gets the ball anywhere in that area. And just now he came very close to opening the scoring.
Marvin Morgan gave him the ball, did well to control it, because that was about shin height. Put it on the ground, and then you could see that he wasn't going for power, just trying to place it to the left upright, and just went wide. Good football.
Flags up, the referee spotting it. And Fabian Reed not only is an Arnett Gardens player, but he lives just about 2 or 3 minutes away from the stadium, so he knows this place well. Look at him again. He peeled away, calling for it, and he only had eyes for goal right here. And just now, Philip was flying, and Reed, really good, is a pure striker, and that is why he's shining for club and country.
If you want to be a little bit critical or a little of Marvin Morgan, that pass could have been hit on the ground, because it did. Fabian Reed had to control it from that position of shin height onto ground, and that may have just cost him a little rhythm, but good effort nevertheless.
Cyrus inching forward. Bit of pressure here from the Arnett Gardens team, forcing a Central team to retreat to their defensive quarters, and now having to start their attack all over again, and no prize for telling who is on the ball and leading this thrust.
Notice when Tibble passes the ball, when he always expects a return pass. He puts himself into that position. I like the look of him.
He's a quality player. Very, very quality player. And while we're on the matter of Tibble, he plays in Canada, he played in Hungary, he played in India, he played in Scotland. He's a journeyman. So he's really, really gone all over the place. And that's a very clear foul there from Nesbitt. hand all over Charles's shoulder, and the referee was not far away from the scene of the crime. Here's Tibble, skipping away from two. Now he's bounced off the football by Martin. They come back again, Central. Just past the half-hour mark. And a foot race over at the far side. And Marvin Morgan still with possession for Arnett Gardens. What's the decision? Throw into Central, says the referee. The assistant referee.
Marvin Morgan is trying to say to the assistant referee that he was fouled. The referee, the assistant referee, not buying it.
Here they come again, Arnett Gardens. Vishnal Harris, will he go for goal? Yes, he does. And if there was another goal upstairs, he would still miss that one. High standard of kicking, not in a good way.
Frustrated looking Jerome Wade there, because that's the second time that Vishnal Harris has had a clear look at the goalkeeper. And for the second time, he has shot way off target. Look at that. He has all the time and space to pick a spot. Why would you kick 10 yards high? Maybe 20 yards high. That's just horrible football. He was under no pressure with that shot.
Here they come again. They'll try again, Arnett Gardens. This is the dangerous Fabian Reid. Look at his movement. Two balls on the field. And the referee had no choice but to stop the game to get rid of one of them. And the possession will remain with Arnett Gardens. They had the ball at the stoppage. But he's going to bounce the ball between the two players. Why should he? When it was a clear possession for Arnett. But unsporting-like. Well, I suppose you can't blame him. Don't give it back to them close to your area. That's the message. But so it is. Reid. He's bounced off the ball. I'd want Reid in my team any day of the week. He has such an eye for goal, and he knows where the goal is. And 90% of the time he's on target. And you can't want more from a striker. Here's Tibble in the middle of the park. He's always calling a player for the ball, always directing the movement. This is Charles. Cummings. So it's 9 to 10. 10 over on the far side. Mitchell is also over there as well. Free kick one here by Central. Referee Lopez just going over to make sure there's no retaliation. So Akeem Armstrong is taking it on the chin.
It's Marvin Morgan again, Wayne. This is about the 4th or 5th time he's involved in a tackle that sees him being fouled. And for a person who is there more for his attacking prowess, he's been involved in a lot of defensive plays.
Central looking a lot more comfortable in the football. They're not creating the chances that Arnett Gardens are, but they do look good when they have possession of the football. There's a slight difference between possession and progression. And while they have possession, they make very little progress. And that is one of the big problems they're having at the moment. They need to get into those little spaces a bit more. That's Armstrong again, involved in it. Free kick to Arnett Gardens. Brian Lopez is doing a very good job handling this game.
That stud's exposed. Maybe lucky not to get some kind of card being shown. I think the referee in this one, Wayne, has been quite lenient. Has not reached for his card. And there have been 1 or 2 plays at least that may have warranted the referee issuing a caution, but so far he's allowed the game to flow.
Good turn by Wolf, Anthony Wolf, veteran of the 2006 World Cup. This is Darren Mitchell. Jared London. London has 6 caps for Trinidad and Tobago. Anderson has a decision to make. Didn't quite make it well. And it has resulted in what? A corner for Central? Yes, it has.
That is because he was being pressured. Ronike Anderson, good pressure from, I think it was Jared London, who was ensuring that he didn't have the amount of time on the ball that he would have liked, and they enforced the mistake.
Charles has gone across to take this one. We've got a number of blue shirts in the area. Headed away by Martin. And Marvin Morgan emerges from the crowd with the ball. And he's on his bicycle over on the far side. Chased though. And he's switched the dimension of attack from right to left. And he's picked out Russell. Russell has Nesbet coming, but he didn't see Nesbet. And he's forced to bring Vishnal Harris into the game. And a shot. Oh, what a brilliant goal. Well, it has not crossed the line. It has not crossed the line. The referee is pointing towards the spot, yet it has. What a brilliant goal. That was just absolutely sumptuous. Tamar Edwards caught that on a flush. And it hit one post and got in from the other. Arnett Gardens have taken the lead on minute number 38. 1-0 to the home team.
That was a brilliant goal, Wayne, for the simplicity of the technique. He did everything that the textbook tells you to do. This is Russell coming down the left-hand side, pass on to him. Vishnal Harris gets in the way. Look at the technique. Everything was absolutely right. The ball did cross the line, so there was no doubt about that. But the non-kicking foot was beside the ball. His head was down. Look at the technique here. Bam! Everything that the textbook would tell you to do. Hitting it with the laces, keeping his eyes on the target. And that was maybe the best goal that we have seen all afternoon.
The best of the 8.
Best of the 8 the goals that we have seen afternoon. High quality that.
And the reaction of Marvin Phillip fooled me, because I couldn't see it with the naked eye if it had crossed the line, and his reaction and the Arnett Gardens players also running to try to make sure that it was in fooled me, but it well over the line for the first time of asking, and the Arnett Gardens taking the lead.
That's not the kind of goal that goalkeepers will find easy to save, when a ball hits the inside of a post. That's as far away from the goalkeeper as you can get. I don't think Marvin Phillips can take too much blame for that one as the goalkeeper. Just a quality finish.
Tariq Sampson. So Arnett Gardens, having watched their Jamaican compatriots, Portmore United, beaten tonight, would want to not make amends, but to make sure that they don't fall in the same trap, and at least have a local representative in the final on Sunday. But guess what? We're so far away from that. And this Central team is capable of not only coming back, but capable of coming back to win this game. But it will all play out in front of us tonight. Still have got 7 minutes in this half and another 45 to go. Here's Vishnal Harris, skipping away from one. Linking up with Fabian Reed. Philip just backtracking. Looking a bit uncertain there. And he stepped, his left foot went across the line. And because of that, corner for the Arnett Gardens team.
Vishnal Harris has not been shooting properly, and his shooting boot seems to have deserted him. But he's making some snappy little passes. His passing in and out of that top midfield area has been good. This is the goalkeeper clearly stepping over the line with the ball. That's just carelessness on his part, a lack of concentration. From his standpoint, I hope it doesn't come back to haunt him.
Corner from the far side this time. And Lennox Russell takes most of these corners for Arnett Gardens. Tonight he's taking all of them from either side. Nice looping ball. Nesbet arriving at the back door of Marvin Phillip. The referee says he used his hand for elevation, and it's called the playback.
Maybe just figuring he pushed the man in the back when he was jumping there. Again, I didn't see too much wrong with that. The referee thought otherwise.
Well, it's a sensitive area, and any kind of advantage that you're trying to gain illegally, because his hand was on the player's shoulders, and the player could see because of that he was put off and wasn't able to effectively put up a challenge. I think the referee was right on that occasion. Central now having to chase the game. Will we see a different reaction from them? This is Mitchell. He's now back over on the right side. He was operating on the left, and he's been switched back to the right. He started out on the right-hand side and spent a couple of minutes over on the left, and he's now back over. This is Jabari Johnson. This is an outstanding player. A really good servant for Arnett Gardens all season long, and he continues to do that in this game.
Mitchell did the right thing there when having knocked the ball inside. He darted down the wing, creating an avenue for the return ball. And then that cross, though it was blocked, but that was good football, good passing, good movement, good running into space.
Damian Hyatt yet to be called upon to make a save. Now he has to defend against this corner. And so another one for Central, this time from the opposite side. Just right on cue.
I choose to punch rather than to hold on to that one. Didn't want to take any chances.
Ball is a bit slippery. So the corner from the far side. Just about 3.5 minutes away from the whistle for the first half. Didn't have a great deal of stoppages. Arnett Gardens, the defenders just dealing with that quite nicely. Mitchell. Cyrus. Vishnal Harris.
Cyrus trying to be a little bit too clever there.
It's a nice game developing. It's a watchable game. Wouldn't call it a great game just yet. It has the potential to be, but it's getting there, and you can see the players thinking this game through. It's a cat and mouse game, if you like. And because these central players know that there are 3 players on the Arnett Gardens team who have played in Trinidad for an extended period of time and know them very well, that is also playing out here, because they can easily tell the coach on either side what to expect from them.
Lots of the battle in midfield here. It's a game where both midfields are wrestling for territorial control.
It's a nice cool breeze just coming across our commentary point. Nice crowd watching this game as well. You wouldn't be surprised because the home team is playing, and the best supported team here in Jamaica in terms of traveling fans, let alone when they're home. So we've got a really nice crowd here. Not quite a full house, but not far from it either. And they know when they're seeing good football. Their team played very good football. And when they're ready to touch the heights, they really do touch it. Ball coming dangerously. Hyatt left his cage, and he was caught out in mid-air. Trouble here for Hyatt. He's still not able to get control of that, and his defenders bailed him out. But the danger is back. Central looking for parity to take with them back to the dressing room. But a sliding tackle there from Nesbeth, making sure that they stay away from that sensitive and dangerous area. But this is Tibble. Looking for the ball to come back in. It does come back, but with just a bit too much pace, overcooked. And it's managed to stay in, actually. Will this be a better cross? Harris, of all persons, back there defending. And I suppose the coach has asked him to do it because of his experience, and he's surrounded by not a great deal of experience. As I told you at the start, a number of their first team personnel are not operating tonight for one reason or another. So in addition to his outstanding and skillful plays, he's asked to also come back and lend his experience at the back whenever and if ever he can. This is Mitchell. First touch not bad. I wonder if he should have gone for it one time. Arnett, finally.
The angle was all wrong for him to go for it one time, but the movements of this Central FC team has been exemplary over the last 2-3 minutes. People running off into position, and they're passing the ball with precision and accuracy, and it has created some issues here for this Arnett Gardens back four. Some good football playing. When you said it's a watchable game, and I certainly agree.
I've seen football games where referees don't at any minute. Right on 45, they blow it off. I think this one could be one of those, but I think I'd still go for a minute. This is Charles. Sampson. Back to Charles. That pass was intended for Tibble, but it went wrong. They couldn't be made to pay for this. This is Fabian Reed, and he gets a corner.
Fabian Reed wanted to pull the trigger, but he may have just taken one touch too many. He was just trying to get by the defender, just having a step on the defender to unleash a right foot effort. But you have to give the defender some credit there. Stayed with him, didn't foul him, and in the end, it's a corner.
So we've gone past the 45 minutes. We're now into bonus time. The fourth official didn't put up his display board, but he doesn't have to. His communication with the referee could be private. Corner for Arnett over on the far side. Again, Russell has gone across to do the honors. He has just 4 to aim for in the box, and not even a minute. Not even a minute. 57 seconds to be exact. I think this is one of those halves that he could easily have gone for 45 minutes. It would have been a problem because we didn't have any stoppages at all. But at the end of the first 45 minutes, Arnett Gardens, the home team, their fans are happy, going for their drinks. They're leading by a goal to nil, and what a goal it was. It was just an absolute belter from Tamar Edwards. He caught it flush from 25 yards out. Marvin Phillip had absolutely no answer. The ball lodged in the back of his cage, and it sent the home fans into rapturous celebration. And Arnett heading back to their dressing rooms with a 1-goal advantage.
All right, so a half that belonged to Arnett Gardens, but we'll talk a little bit more about that. Right now we go for the break.
Welcome back to the Tony Spalding Sports Complex here in Arnett Gardens, Kingston, Jamaica. And the score you're seeing on the screen, yes, it is correct. The home team is leading this semi-final of the Flow Caribbean Club Football Championship by 1-0 at Tamar Edwards Belter, giving them that lead. The fans are going for their drinks and having a chat amongst themselves. And we here in the commentary box, myself and Orvin Higgins, having a chat as well. But just have a look at the highlights of the first 45 minutes. And Philip just watching a ball sailing over his cage. Arnett Garden showing early intent. And Vishnal Harris really should have done a lot better with that one. He would want that back every single time. And The look on his face tells you that, wow, how did I miss that one? It's a question we're all asking. Here's another belter, that one from Russell, and Philip had to fly to his right to keep that one out. Fabian Reed came very close with this one. It dipped just past the left upright, didn't miss by much, and Arnett kept huffing and puffing, and just now they're going to blow the house down. Look at this. Look at the technique behind that. Not a backlift at all. And the ball went in off the right upright, hit the left upright, but it didn't need to. And the bench was celebrating, led of course by Jerome Waite, Newton Sterling, who the Trinidadians, I'm sure, who are now in Port of Spain and at Marcus Beach and wherever you are in Trinidad watching this one, you know him very well because he played in Trinidad for a while as well. And the referee said he's seen enough. And Arnett and Central are now in their respective dressing rooms having a chat about it. But the most important of the statistics here, the top one there, with Arnett leading by a goal to nil. The possession percentage is just huge. Look at that. And of course, the shots on target, Arnett Gardens leading in that one. Shots on target, Arnett leading in that one as well. Sure, they didn't want to be. And the corners, they're dominating that as well. So overall, outside of the ball possession percentage, they're pretty much running the show here, Arnett Gardens. And I'm sure they've made their spectators happy.
Yeah, they certainly have. And I suppose you could say deservedly 1-0 up. They were creating much the better chances. Visional Harris will live to rue that one that he kicked wide from just on top of the 6-yard box. The goal is 8 yards wide, and how he didn't manage to get the ball within those 8 yards is a mystery. But in the last part of the half, the Central FC team were stringing some passes together. They were running off into positions, and they will feel a little bit better about the last 10 minutes as opposed to the rest of the half. We go then for another break. right, so welcome back to some of the things that happened in the first half. There's the goal, by the way. And that goal by Tamar Edwards was just a classic. And look at the celebration. Craig Butler, along with some referees, are part of the crowd. One of the first talking points in this game was people not running off the ball, Wayne. I did make that point, and our production team will show that, as well as I think Vishnul Harris's miss. I don't know how you miss a goal from that, but we'll take a quick look at that as we see the teams just keeping themselves warm, the substitutes at least, during this the halftime break. Lovely evening there.
And of course, Flow Sports has been carrying the German Bundesliga, and for the fans of the German Bundesliga, the man in the middle there was Leon Bailey's father. So we're looking here at the miss by Vishnul Harris. I'm not so sure we can tear this apart in terms of dissecting it. There's nothing to dissect. He just missed it, and maybe he's the only person who can explain that. Let's see how the ball bounced for him. It bounced very, very evenly for him, and we were just looking to the very finest of details. We wanted to see if the surface played a part in it, and based on what we were seeing, nothing.
Right, this is the point I was making. When here's Russell looking at the players, nobody peeling off, coming towards him, and he realized nobody was coming in his direction. People were running beside the defenders, and he said, listen, I'm just going to go for a shot. That in the end was rather ambitious, but we didn't see the kind of support. He's picked up the ball on the left side. You want to see people darting in different directions. Had a shot, and it was wide.
All right, so the officials have reconvened in the middle of the park. Mr. Brian Lopez from Guatemala, 9 out of 10 personally for me, if I was to grade him on his first half performance, and thought he did a very good job handling the game. And Damian Hyatt, who is a captain for the night, just bringing his players together. He's very talkative, and they're all, that's his half pint, international reggae star there, and one of the entertainers who live and breathe football, has a slew of hit songs, and just enjoying the evening, rarely in Jamaica, and now that he's here, he's enjoying the football. The central team also gathering in a huddle and just talking things over, saying a last-minute prayer, if you like. These teams is now something that is fashionable around the world. People making the cross across their chest, and so on and so forth. So Arnett Gardens trying to keep warm. They're leading by 1-0, and they're good value for that lead. Central really, really pushed them hard in the first half, and we expect to see another good half of football, the second half coming your way, just on its way. And referee Brian Lopez is standing in the middle of the park. The first whistle went, so they're waiting on the second. They have no obligation, the players, to just suddenly run towards the middle. That's the second one, and then the third to get the restart. So Fabian Reed standing over it. Vishnul Harris is in close proximity, but since the rules have been changed where only one player can kick the ball off if they so desire, then they have that option as well.
All right, so for this half, let's see what will happen. We're seeing some good passing, some good football being played. There's the kickoff.
So we're on the way for the second half, with Arnett Gardens holding on to that precious, precious lead, given to them on minute 37 by Tamar Edwards. Darren Mitchell. The central team not doing well in their local league, and here tonight playing second fiddle so far in almost every department to this Arnett Gardens team. So let me just remind you that for the central team, their route to here, they lost the first game to Portmore United by 2-0. Then in the second game, they defeated Racing Gonaïves out of Haiti by 3-0, and they defeated Atlantico by 1-0 in their final game. And that was a game that Portmore United had to wait on to confirm their passage to the semi-finals. So they didn't do badly either, and that leg was played over in the Dominican Republic. So they beat Racing Gonaïves by 3-0 and Atlantico by 1-0, and they lost 2-0 to Portmore United.
All right, so we're seeing the action in the middle of the park. The second half has started at a fairly brisk pace, and the cool evening we are having here at Arnett Gardens. Ideal conditions, you think, for football. The players have been doing a fair deal of running, but so far the energy level is something that you have to be happy with. Here's a cross.
Early corner Well, goal kick. Okay. The last touch came off the Trinidad Day Central player. So, but Jabari Johnson doing a very, very good job of tracking and staying with the play. And just when Charles thought he had a corner, he didn't. Hyatt in goal for the Arnett Gardens team, wearing the captain's armband. He's worn it before on a few occasions. In fact, when O'Neill Thompson was deposed as captain, he was the man who took it over, and to many he was just a captain, not necessarily a leader, because of the kind of influence that Thompson has not only over on his own players but the league itself. Unfortunately tonight we're not seeing him and a few others, but Arnett not missing him at the moment because they're leading by a goal to nil. This is Tibble. Mitchell. Morgan coming across very nicely.
Having won the ball when he did so well to win the ball, doing some great defensive work, and then opted to dribble when he could have opted for a pass. This is not one of Marvin Morgan's best game.
Jamil Neptune was the player who tracked back and won back possession for Central. Cyrus. Cummings.
Oh, that was great. Nice control.
And don't wear the number 10 for nothing. Oh,
wow.
He got a reverse swing on that one. And Hyatt was just looking at the ball. He knew it was going over, but I'm not sure if he knew how close it was to his goal too.
And these are just some good football there. Wayne collected, looked up, went for the shot. There was some late swing on it. Had it dipped a little bit more, it could have had the goalkeeper in some kind of problems.
Got the reverse swing on it, and that was what made the difference. Came very, very close there. But you don't wear the number 10 for nothing. And just now, Cummings showing why he does. Patient build up here by the Central team. Corner. So they've been running the show since the resumption and asking the questions of the Arnett Gardens team.
For this Central FC team to do well, where they have to see a little bit more from Cummings. He's had his moments in the game, but he hasn't quite imposed himself on the proceedings the way that he would have liked. We've seen Tibble doing well, pulling the strings in midfield, but you need your number 10 to be having an impact.
Corner to be struck from the far side. Cummings has gone across to do the honors. Ball is hanging. Goalkeeper Hyatt rose above all else and easily picked the ball out of the air and set the Arnett Gardens' latest attack motion.
Oh, this could
and here is Fabian Reed. Just as he was about to pull the trigger, Cyrus appeared there and took the ball almost off his boot lace. But that would have been very, very interesting had he got that shot off, because he's very lethal from areas like those.
Brilliant defending, Wayne. It's easy for defenders in a position like this to foul the forward who is on rushing. They panic and they do silly things. Cyrus kept his calm, kept his composure, and as you said, just nipped the ball off the forward's feet. That was high quality defensive work.
Mitchell just looking to see how close the nearest person was to him. Anderson was in close proximity and he forced a hurried pass from Mitchell. So the Central team just building up quite nicely. They've been having a great deal of touches of this football since the resumption. And Arnett Gardens, almost as if they've taken a few minutes off. Just now Tibble showing he's human. Cummings again. This boy has the ability to prize up this Arnett Gardens defense. They've got to be wary of him. And he's now really coming into his own. He was very quiet in the first half. But this number 10, nippy little player for Central, just now showing what he's capable of.
I like the fact that Central FC are now passing it around, but you do need Cummings to just make himself more of a target. And he started to do that here in the second half. But Central FC seems to have found their passing boot and knocking the ball around nicely.
Let's see what the corner will be like. A number of blue shirts waiting, a flashing header. And it flashed all the way into touch for an Arnett Gardens goal kick. And because we know you join us all the time, your new viewers, as we go along, as we look back at this corner from Cummings, flashing header there from, it appears to be Tibbles. No, it wasn't. It was Cyrus. Found his way all the way in the 18-yard area. Because we know you join us all the time, we're just going to bring you up to date on what's happening in the second semi-final here in the Flow Caribbean Club Championships, and it's Arnett against Central. Arnett, of course, wearing the black and red, and Central in their contrasting blue colors. And Arnett took the lead on 37 minutes. Tamar Edwards with a rasping shot that hit off one post, then hit the next on its way into the goal. And that's pretty much a recap of the highlights so far of this game. Earlier, Club Atletico Pantoja out of the Domrep beat Arnett, the Portmore United team, by 4-3 in the first semi-final. The final will be played on Sunday. Good cross, dealt with well there by Central.
And this is when Marvin Morgan is at his most dangerous. Oldham found him with a pass, found him in space. He's usually a very good crosser of the ball, and that one was decent. Here's he again, running into space. Good to see. Good cross coming in. Headed out. And he's suddenly...
There's Arnett Gardens, another opportunity presenting itself. This is Russell! Not quite where he wanted it. But he was given the space and given the time. Just didn't quite get it correctly.
He forced the goalkeeper to make a brilliant save early in the second half. This time he shot very wide. Was peeling off the outside of the boot.
Marvin Phillip, beaten once tonight. Not sure what he's doing here. Just need to get the ball downfield. No, he does. And there was only going to be one winner when a player like Nesbitt goes up for an aerial battle. Christian Harris playing it to Fabian Reed. Reed playing it off to Morgan! And Arnett Gardens! What a wonderful team move from Arnett Gardens! The fans are in ecstasy, and they might well be, because the Arnett Gardens team move that led to that goal was simply sumptuous. The passing was just absolutely immaculate. And what a goal. Arnett beat by 2-0. Marvin Morgan, the goal scorer.
Lovely, lovely team effort. I did say a few minutes ago that Marvin Morgan seems to have found his range. Visional Harris got involved, made the pass to Oldham. He laid it off to Marvin Morgan, who slotted to the goalkeeper's right. Didn't go for power, just went for placement. Look at that pass from Visional Harris, well weighted. It was Fabian Reed, in fact, who made the pass to Marvin Morgan, who just steered it. Didn't go for power, which is one of the mistakes that sometimes Jamaican footballers made. He realized the goalkeeper was committed, and any touch to his right would have resulted in a goal. Well done, Marvin Morgan.
And any coach or any student looking on who wants to be a striker, the best thing you take away from that was that Marvin Morgan knew exactly what he was going to do before he got the ball. He didn't have to think. He didn't break a stride. He did exactly what he wanted to do because he saw it before it happened. And that is what you do. You make the plays before you get the ball. It's a matter of execution when you eventually get it. And that was just wonderfully done.
Brilliant goal indeed.
Anderson. No, Arnett. More with the bits between their teeth. Carter Oldham involved heavily. This man too, Visional Harris. Here's a chance for 3. Just skimming past the right upright.
Fabian Reed it was who kicked it wide. Again, Visional Harris wearing his shooting boots, as we said, have deserted him, but he's pulling the strings in midfield now. That's an excellently weighted pass. Let's look at this again. This is Visional Harris. He's put it towards Fabian Reed, who again was trying to find the back post or the far post, and again hit maybe inches wide. Arnett Gardens have certainly started the second half in a very impressive fashion. They're 2-0 up, and by the way they're playing now, the Central FC team has to be a little bit concerned.
Well, they've taken off their number 10, Karen Cummings, and they've brought on Jason McCarno. So the Stern John has responded to that second goal with a substitution, and Visional Harris is looking like a maestro tonight. Clearly, Coach Wade said to him, don't think about the shots. Set up the plays. That's what you do best. If the opportunity comes for you to shoot, shoot. But the way he's playing, clearly, they talked about it at halftime, and he's now just stringing the passes, he's linking the plays, and he's just calling the shots, and he's looking like a maestro, really.
Yeah, certainly playing the kind of role that he does as well as anyone in Jamaica when he's unsung. He's doing it brilliantly at the moment. And Tibble, on the other hand, weighing for the Central FC team. He's making passes, but he's doing them a little bit closer to his own goal. He needs to do what Visional Harris is doing, which is creating that final pass. The Central FC team needs somebody to duplicate what Harris is doing, pulling the strings closer to the opponent's goal.
Reed and Harris linking up again. Still Reed battling. The referee says nothing is wrong with that. Go on your way, Central, he says. And on their way they are. This is Charles playing it to McCarno, who just came onto the field. A ginger color here. And he keeps possession. Overhit. He wasn't aiming for anyone in particular, but it has found Charles over on the far side, and he's forced back upfield. Now they have to start this over, or will they just get the ball back in the area immediately? Here's Reniki. Well, Visional Harris.
He's playing brilliantly at the moment.
He has Marvin Morgan here. Should have gone on the ground. Gives the Trinidad and Tobago player a chance at that. That was just the decision to make the pass was good, but how he made it wasn't the greatest. He really should have gone on the ground with that one. Marvin Morgan would have a lot more control over it. This is Macardo. Mitchell with his back to goal. Charles now. Still Charles looking to tee it up. Can't. Macardo. Under a bit of pressure. No, Arnett gets this one away. Anxious moments for Central. We've passed the worst. And now Tibble set them in motion once more. Over on the far side, approaching the hour mark. And it's Arnett Gardens with goals from Marvin Morgan and the outstanding Tamar Edwards. Having this game in the palm of their hands. It's about protecting it now. Or trying to add a bit of protection around those two goals by adding a third. Here's Mitchell. The urgency the Central team is showing now reflects the score line and need to get back into this game. This is Tibble. Macarno. Not sure if something is wrong with Peltier, because he's a class player. He's sitting on the bench.
And this is what Theobald has to do when he has to, I think, get closer to the opponent's goal, the number 18. He's clearly the best passer, has the best vision, but a lot of his passes aren't threatening to the opponent's goal the way Visional Harris is. And I think the Central FC number 18 has got to be a little bit more advanced. His team is 2-0 down. They need him to be closer to the other team's box.
Corner. Headed away by Arnett. Ball falling fortuitously for Cyrus. Look at him. He's found his way all the way into the 18-yard area. Now he has to track all the way back. He does that so often. And he's heading back up. And you know, all night here we've been talking about Denzel Tibble. His name is optional in terms of its pronunciation because it can be pronounced as Theobald as well. But the British pronounce it as Tibble. Security strong. That's Turn John there, nearest the camera, in the thought process with his assistant. What are they going to do next?
Stern John can't be too happy with the way his team is playing at the moment. They're 2-0 down. And it's going to be a tall order for them to come back. Still some time. A little over half an hour to go.
Reed. Tirelessly he's working tonight. Still Reed. He wants a shot. He's not going to pass it. He's a very selfish striker. Sometimes they have to be selfish. Maybe not on that occasion because Visional Harris had made way for himself. And maybe he could have picked up Harris peeling away over on the left. But
striker's instinct when he wanted a goal, his team is 2-0 up. He's picked to score goals. I have little difficulty with that effort.
This is Tibble, or Theobald if you like. Mitchell plays so much with his back to goal. Tibble back with possession for the Central FC team. So Arnett has the number on the Central team. The last time they met, Arnett won by 3-0. And tonight, they're just a goal away from matching that score. I'm sure they'll settle for 2 tonight. Here they are, Central.
Passover hit.
Nesbeth is shadowing things. Making sure that, well, it's actually Jabbar Johnson who has gone to make sure things are okay.
The right intentions there. The player overlapping out of defense. And this is one of the things I'm talking about when we see Cyrus coming up front. We're seeing the Central defenders coming up. I would want to see Theobald or Tibble just being a little bit more involved. I've said that before, but your team is 2-0 down. You are the most creative-minded player on your team. You have to be a little bit more advanced.
Here is Central in the middle of the park. They are trailing by 2-0 and need to get back into this game. Time is not their friend at the minute. Won themselves a free kick. That helps. In fact, they decided to just take it from a spot that it wasn't warranted, but it's their choice. Here they come again. Arnett player, Marvin Morgan, is down, not in your vision at the minute. While the game continues. Here they come Central. Tibble.
That's what I want Tibble to do, to get the
cross and just directed behind for a corner.
That's what I was saying, Wayne, although Marvin Morgan is down and the referee will now come to pay attention. But you saw, well, Marvin Morgan is asking to be substituted. He's seems to be holding on to the hamstrings. He definitely wants to be substituted.
It's the only thing that would have taken him off a hamstring. You don't play around with that.
Yeah, he's holding on to the back of the leg, which
he's got to go. He can't continue. Once it's a hamstring injury, he's got to go. He can play with it. That's one of the things with a hamstring. You can play with it. What happened at the end of the game? And that is why in the... I'll talk about it right after this. It's Macardo. Chance here for Central. Hyatt, watchful as the Arnett defenders get the ball away from the danger area. Tussle over on the far side, and the assistant referee's decision is that it's Central's possession. Marvin Morgan is flat out on the field. I was just making the point that in the 2000 and let's have a look at this before I made the point about the hamstring. It's a tussle here between Fabian Reed.
And again, both players holding on to each other.
And Tariq Sampson. So Marvin Morgan is going to go. If it's a hamstring, then he's got to go if it's a hamstring. And in the 2009 100 meters final, well, it's not a hamstring, clearly. Maybe it's a cramp. Well, he's asking the management, what happened?
He wants to come off.
Well, if it's a hamstring, he's right to ask him to take him off. But if it's a cramp, then the coaching staff is hoping that he runs it out. But he's adamant that he wants to come off, and that's not Marvin Morgan for you. So it probably is his hamstring. As I say, you could play with it. In the 2009 100 meters final at the World Championships in Germany, Tyson Gay ran with a hamstring injury, and he ran 9.71 in that 9.58 race, and he just couldn't turn up for the 200 meters. He took the risk and run at the hamstring, so he can play if he wants to. But what happens at the end of the game is another thing, and that's why he wants to be substituted.
But if a player win, and a player like Marvin Morgan, who we know don't like to quit, if he's clearly saying I want to come off, I think that whatever it is, whether be it cramps, hamstring, cold, fever, I would just take him off, because his mindset is clearly no longer on the field of play.
It's a hamstring. He's holding on to it. Every time he runs for a meter or two, he holds on to it, and he's hobbling around the park.
Why are they keeping him on the field?
Here's a chance for Central. This is Mitchell. Darren Mitchell got away in the area. Corner for Central. They're getting close to the Arnett Gardens goal every time. I just can't understand why the management has not taken him off. He's clearly having a problem with his hamstring, and he doesn't want to further risk it. There he is. He's holding on to his hamstring from day one.
I don't like this. He should have been off the field 5 minutes ago.
Now they're making the substitution, and they're bringing on Steve Clark. So Clark is onto the field, and Marvin Morgan has departed. He's disappeared into the bench, into the dugout.
And this is a player who has just scored a goal, so he must have been feeling pretty good about himself after giving his team a 2-0 cushion.
Steve Clark almost immediately into the game. Will this be one of those substitutions that we'll talk about for years? No, but very, very good run down the right channel. Shot wasn't bad either. Got a bit too much elevation on that one, but for a player who has just come onto the field, wasn't a bad effort. Maybe he could have used the options around him, but he's excited, the crowd is behind him, and he's near to the fans over on the right side. Everything is going through his head. And I suppose as he works his way into the game, he'll probably make the passes when they're available to him.
Very tunnel vision that time around on his way to goal. There's a good pass up towards Fabian Reed, and the defenders will recover.
This is Tibble. He's come deep for it. And Marvin Morgan probably with one eye on the final. Doesn't want to badly damage a hamstring that, it's clearly giving him problems. Might not be very bad, but he knows himself and he knows what he's able to deal with. And so he asked to be substituted. And I think the coaching staff took a bit too long to get him off. Anyway, he's off. So it's Anderson. Steve Clark, fresh legs, primed to run at this central defense. Mitchell. Sampson's cross was charged down. This is Tibble.
This is where he needs to be when. I know I've been saying it like a stock record, but you'll get the feeling that if Central FC are going to come back into this game, then their most influential midfielder has got to be closer to the opponent's goal.
So Central thinking about another substitution. So they're taking off Tibble from, well, Tibble is going to be substituted. He's going to be sacrificed.
I know I've been saying it now, but with him coming out, the coach is clearly saying, we want somebody in your position playing a lot more attacking. He certainly is making good lateral passes.
Dwayne Muckett is the player who's going to be coming on.
It's clearly a foul from behind.
Revisional Harris is looking up and saying, what's that about? The Tibble is off. He's not the youngest of players, I might add. What, about 36 thereabouts? So you just got to take what you get from him for as long as you can get it. And Dwayne Muckett is now onto the park.
Dwayne Muckett clearly has been brought on to create some more attacking forays into the Arnett Gardens area. They're running out of time to do something here. They're just over 20 minutes to go and they're 2-0 down. They've got to throw all caution to the winds.
Marcano has been a live wire since coming onto the field, and he's forcing the Arnett Gardens defenders to stay home. They used to come forward a lot, but he has speed and he's nippy and he runs well around that little danger box. And if you notice, Jabari Johnson has taken him under his control because he's all over the park. And the defenders are not comfortable with players like it. And if you notice now, the coach has assigned a man-marking job on Marcano. When he came on, he was all over the place. Now Jabbar Johnson, and you couldn't ask for a better player to stay with him. Johnson's going to go everywhere he goes. Look at this. Oh, Central FC looking for that opening that would bring them back into this game. Just about 70 minutes into this game, 20 minutes or so to go, plus the few minutes that will be added for stoppage. And so Visional Harris, who's been at the heart of everything good Arnett Gardens tonight, will be substituted shortly. And your coach Jerome Wade believes that he has enough to work with out there and enough to see him over the line, so much so he can take off his mercurial midfielder.
High boot. Cyrus can't complain about that. The central defender there just running back into his position. That was definitely a high boot. And you're not allowed to expose your studs at that height when a challenger is within the way.
Lamar Neal is the player who will be coming on. And Vishnal Harris exiting a stage that he knows only too well. Neal doing a bit of stretching on the sideline. So the 18 replaces the 8. So Vishnal Harris still working his way back to full fitness. He made a cameo appearance in the semi-finals of the Premier League, and then in the first leg, and then played much longer in the second. So he's just working his way back into full fitness. But what we've seen of him tonight tells you that this is a quality player when fit, and the Jamaica team definitely needs a player like him in the middle of the park.
I think he definitely is one who can solve that midfield problem for the Jamaica national team, when he's definitely of the right stamp, but very injury prone. And maybe the coach is saving him for the final, which means from the Arnett Gardens perspective, they have to keep the scoreline what it is.
Nesbeth with a long throw. It's almost like a corner. Dealt with by Central. Free kick to the Trinidadians. Referee Brian Lopez. Close proximity. So exactly what went on. So now that Tibble has left the stage, who will take up that job to run things in midfield? Can't be Moquette.
Well, Moquette is with the ball now. He's gone into that exact position that Tibble was, just on the halfway line dictating proceedings. I'm not sure that that is the best. It's a like-for-like swap, and it wasn't helping on it, God.
Fabian Reed is off to the races. He has two players around him. He plays it to Steve Clark. Will Clark pull the trigger? No. He pulls it back expertly. Still with Clark. No Reed. Still on it. Gardens with a chance for three. And Reed again frustrated.
That time around.
Cyrus is seeing the funny side of it.
Yes. Fabian Reed making the pass to the right-hand side. Should have gone for the shot, I thought. Clark pulled it back, hoping to get Reed involved. Reed fired, blocked, fired again wide. Maybe he should have been selfish and gone for the shot himself. Fabian Reed is upset, not sure why.
He's trying to wrap his right foot around it, and it all went wrong for him.
And then in the meantime, time running out for the Central FC team. They've got to commit people forward, Wayne, and can leave themselves a little exposed at the back. They have no option now but to push people up front.
Jerome Waite and Eugene Williams, they've been together for years. Jerome Waite coached Eugene Williams, believe it or not. And Eugene is the one with the cap on. Jerome, the assistant national coach. So they've been together for a while. They were separated a few months, then they're back together again and trying to plot the downfall of Central FC from Trinidad and Tobago yet again. Stern John played well in England. Really, really good career. Played well in MLS as well. One of the best strikers the MLS has seen. And he was at Birmingham in England as well. And as I say, he's either number 3 or 2 on the all-time scorers list for national teams in history. Over 70 goals. Maybe his number is at 77 at the moment. Many people just don't believe that for a Caribbean player. Here's Moquette. Chance here for Central. Very well defended by Arnett Gardens. Very, very well defended. So Arnett Gardens protecting the student lead.
It's the goal scorer.
After scoring that brilliant goal, you can say, well, he prevented one. That was really heading for goal.
Yeah, Tamar Edwards there, putting himself between the goal line and the ball.
Corner for Central. Trying to flick on. Goalkeeper Hyde left this line. And his judgment was just impeccable. So we're approaching the finish line. With Central still behind and well behind. This is... They do very well to come back from this tonight. Created a bit more chances in the second half, yes. But they've not been clear-cut opportunities. And nothing to really put the Arnett Gardens defenders on the edge. Here's Mitchell. He wants to change that. Reniki Anderson will have none of it. He's just barge into him. And referee Lopez might just... Well, he did have a chat with Anderson, because at the very least that deserved a chat, because he was nowhere near the football. He played the man.
One of the things about Arnett Gardens, Wayne, although they are 2-0 up with just over 15 minutes of regular time remaining, they have not sat back. They're continued to attack like that.
Fabian Reed can't get around the big man, Cyrus.
Some other coaches would sit back on a 2-0 lead with 14 minutes to go, but not Jerome Waite. He wants another goal.
Anderson doing it for the second time. He now will get a yellow card without question. There was a second time he was doing it to the same player in front of referee Brian Lopez. No problems with that card.
No surprises when Roniki Anderson gets a yellow card. He's one of the hardest tackling and most aggressive defenders.
Well, he
in
didn't
local
tackle
football.
there. He can't move. He's overweight, and because of that, Mitchell is taking it to him. He knows he can't move as fast, so just take it to him. And he's a candidate for a red card because if he continues to do that, and Mitchell, I'm sure, is going to try that with him another time to see how he reacts. Why not?
Indeed, the player is down. Referee calling on the medics.
So waiting on the medical team to arrive on the scene. They have now. And let's see what's the outcome. Not clearly the players. I think a bit of cramps, that's one. What else? Yeah. Okay, this was Russell, right? We were talking about Sternjohn, the coach of the Central team. And of course, we're just being told by our able producer, Brian Juice, that he was the top scorer in the MLS in 1998, and he also won the Golden Boot as well. But I tell you, he did very well in England. He played for Birmingham as well, and he was prolific. He just knew how to score goals. Right. But he was at Birmingham as well. He went to a few teams in England, but he's just a top man. He's a real top scorer, and pity Trinidad and Tobago qualified for the World Cup on the back end of when he was heading out. Central waiting on the referee's whistle to effect this latest free kick. They're stringing across the 18-yard area. Look at them. And cleverly Charles went for goal. Many people, in fact, probably all of them were looking for him to play the ball across the line, since all the players were strung out across the line. And he saw the opening to the goalkeeper's right. Went for it. Look at this.
The goalkeeper himself was positioned to the far left, expecting a cross. He was just trying to a little sleight of hand.
Good bit of improvisation there from Charles. Another substitution for Trinidad and Tobago boys. So the fans who are out to support the Arnett Gardens team are just about 11 minutes plus added time away from celebrating, and if they happen to dig out this victory, it'd be well deserved. Tonight Central gave as much as they could, but tonight they've been outmatched by Arnett Gardens.
Yeah, Arnett team has certainly looked a little bit more purposeful, has put together the more consistent string of passes, have finished better. I know those are all obvious points, but that's what football is about. The team that does those things better usually ends up winning the game.
So Peltier is on the field. He played in Belgium. Really wanted an opportunity to see him tonight. I'm not sure if it's injury or strategy or what it is. Peltier is a class player and can turn it on. Let's see what he's going to do tonight in the 10 minutes that he's been given.
And it wins a free kick. In a very deep position here. They have the ability or the opportunity to put people forward. They're not rushing to get people inside the box, understandably so.
Ricardo Oldham, he can go for it direct. He's in a position to do, or he can just float it across with a bit of pace and hoping that one of his teammates can help it on with the pace that he brings with it into the back of the net. I'd probably go for it if I were him. He did go for it. Maybe he should have gone aerial. Go for the far post. Idea not bad. Execution poor. Central just stroking the ball around on this Tony Spalding Sports Complex field. Playing the ball all the way back in their defensive area. It's not about building attacks now, Central. You're 2-0 down with 10 minutes to go. It's about getting the ball downfield.
And the Gardens won't mind them passing it around like this.
Very good interception there. Absolutely wonderful. Now, Reed, on his own, will he wait for assistance or will he go alone? Well,
what was that? He almost seemed to just pass the ball to the goalkeeper there. Did he develop some cramps just about at the time when he was about to kick the ball? I don't understand what happened.
It's both. He developed the cramp while he was about to put the ball because Javoni Sims was the target. Sims was charging down the left. He spotted him through his peripheral vision and he was trying to get the ball over, but it went wrong because apparently he felt something just the moment he was about to make the pass. Another Arnett Gardens player is down. And looks like the goal scorer tomorrow, and he's favoring his left shoulder. Medics are on the spot in a flash.
Sometimes you wonder how much of these weighing are genuine injuries or how much is what you termed game management that we were seeing from the team, from the Athletica team earlier against Portmore. Sometimes you never know.
For sure.
Does disrupt the rhythm and momentum of the other team when the referee continues to break the whistle. He'll have to go off because the medics were on. But now he looks fairly okay.
So, if you're in the Eastern Caribbean, you're into Saturday morning. It's 2 minutes past 11 local time. So if you're watching in Trinidad and Tobago, well, you're into Saturday morning. A game that started on Friday and will be ending on Saturday. Thanks for staying up. Wish the news was much better for you guys over in Trinidad. This is Neptune. But of course, we can't forget our viewers elsewhere. This is Macarno just peeling away. And the goalkeeper, Damian Height, advancing. And added to that, Jabbar Johnson was also in close proximity. And that in itself put off Macarno.
Macarno came on as a substitute and in the first 4 or 5 minutes displayed some energy and some enthusiasm. But the truth is he hasn't been serviced a lot. And at times cuts a rather lonely figure. There's Fabian Reed, and that's cramps again. So cramps seems to be one of the problems here, Wayne.
Fabian has really run a lot tonight. It'll be very interesting to find out how many miles he's covered. If you're playing in the English Premier League, there are clubs that have that facility or that equipment on their players, under their shirt. So all of that will be registered on a computer, so the coach can sit in his dugout and see, okay, so Fabian has run 5 miles. Maybe we need to move him now. We don't have that kind of technology here, not just yet. So we could tell. Here's Peltier. Carno forced back. Charles. Peltier almost trying to move his neck around the ball. He was in an offside position.
And none of the strikers here, Wayne, neither Peltier or the number 8, they don't seem to have that ability to take on a player one-on-one in those tight situations. Armstrong or Charles, they certainly not in this game. They seem to need space and time to do what they're doing. And in those tight little spots when they can, a little trick here, a little trick there, they're not able to get away from the Arnett Gardens defender. Sternjohn looking on. Maybe he feels that he may just get a jersey and run out onto the field. He may still be able to show these youngsters a thing or two.
Well, there's still, if he managed to lose the game tonight, then he'll be involved in the 3rd place playoff on Sunday, and the 3rd and 4th place teams will each get $15,000. The prize money is no different for the 3rd and 4th place teams. The 4th place team has a game on Wednesday right here. Club Francis Cane from Martinique, they'll be playing. So the 4th place team will play Club Francis Cane here on Wednesday. That's the 16th, right? So there's something in it for everyone. So it's $15,000 for 3rd and 4th, $30,000 for 2nd, $50,000 for the winners.
Steve Clark doing a good job there. Your team is 2-0 up, and if the opposing team wants to stay on the sideline and try to wrestle the ball with you all day, then he's certainly welcome to do that. Intelligent football.
So Arnett just managing the game, managing it too well. The player is down as well.
Suggesting that there was an elbow thrown.
Steve Clark, just peeping through his binoculars, he looked up to see if the referee was near, and he realized he was, and he just went that down.
Was there an elbow here?
No, there's not a great deal in that.
No elbow, but there was certainly a hand. But he's milking it for all it's worth.
Peltier in the middle of two Arnett Gardens players. The home team emerged with the ball. Just a bit overhit over on the far side, having to go all the way back, taking the long route. Easily could have played the ball in the 18-yard area. No, it comes back. And the goalkeeper, Philip.
Look at that way. Look at the amount of people close to the 18-yard box of the other team. 3 of them. This is a team leading 2-0 with 4 minutes of regular time to play. Arnett Gardens is not backing off one bit. They are continuing to put people forward. That's how Jerome Wade coaches. And it has served them in good stead so far. Arnett Gardens looks like they need another goal. They don't need to do anything different to make it to the final of this Concacaf Caribbean Club Championship. But they're continuing to put people in attacking positions.
And it's reflective of a team that is so confident that they've seen enough from the central team and believe that they've got it where they really want it. And it's just the confidence of leading 2-0 and the confidence of outmatching your opponent and seeing what they've to offer and no longer afraid of it. Here they come. Shot is the only thing on his mind. Now he had to change and get a crossover. And good elevation. And referee Brian Lopez right on spot. And he says a goal kick to Central.
Again, 5 Arnett Gardens players in and around the box. And that time around as they run away, I think they've got the measure of this team. I don't think Central FC will be able to claw their way back. You don't see them getting 2 goals in the space of time we have here. Stranger things have happened, of course.
There's Arnett Gardens still going forward. Clark. Reed. No, Clark. Does he need to get it in? Yes, he does. Reed is calling for it. That couldn't be for Reed. So we've got just about a minute, 60 seconds left, maybe 90 seconds left in the game, plus the time to be added. And another Arnett player is down, suffering from cramps. It looks like Oldham. I'll tell you in a bit.
It is Oldham.
Hobbles away, operating on almost 1.5 legs as he tries to make his way, try to help his team who are now defending against this latest central movement going forward. Peltier trying to link up there with Mercado. Didn't quite come off. And we're into the 90th minute of this game. And barring anything unforeseen at the moment, it's a strange game and anything can happen within the twinkling of an eye. But barring anything unforeseen at the moment, you just don't see Arnett Gardens letting go of this not only lead, but what seemingly a victory
for that
they're just a couple of minutes away from.
For that play when there were 7 or 8 Arnett Gardens people back in the box, and maybe for the first time, nobody's rushing forward now for this kick by Damian Hyatt. Maybe now, with just about 90 minutes played, they have decided that they will not be beaten, and they are basically massing behind the ball at the moment. The bus may just be about to be parked for the rest of the proceedings here.
Charles with a desperate long-range effort. So we are into the 2 minutes. Well, we're now into the 2 minutes of added time. And Arnett Gardens should see this one out. So it's got to be an Arnett Gardens versus Pantoja final. And the yellow card will be shown to Damian Hyatt for time wasting, says referee Brian Lopez. Ball came back a long time ago. Why is it not on the field, the referee's asking. And it's unnecessary card because he didn't need to take that card. Not that it would affect him because it doesn't carry over, and besides he only has 1 more game to play. But still, you don't want to practice something like that. Be sensible about it. This is unnecessary. You're leading 2-0 with just about 90 seconds to go in the game. Why? Here's Steve Clark. Came on as a substitute for Marvin Morgan. Still looking for a 3rd goal, Arnett Gardens. Attack is in their DNA. So it doesn't matter how many goals they have, they still want more. 1 more is always what they want. Doesn't matter. And it's reflective here tonight.
The Arnett Gardens crowd, Wayne, can be a very, very demanding crowd. They expect their team to win in style, not just merely to win. I've been here at Arnett Gardens and fans complain when their team win, but they don't feel that they played with the kind of exuberance that they would have liked. It's a very demanding crowd.
Wow. So Nesbitt went in and went in very hard. Carno had to ride the tackle, and he did so skillfully. Had to get out of the way. Look at this. The biggest player on the field. Well, himself and Cyrus are battling for that prize. But Nesbitt is a very big man, and Carno was very brave to stand in his way. Had to eventually skip the tackle. And this is the resulting free kick. Hyatt. And the referee's whistle will go in a matter of seconds. But Steve Clark still taking the time to see if it's possible for a third goal. This is Oldham surveying his options. Now he elects to go left, and the referee says, you know what? I've seen enough of this game. Arnett Gardens, you're into the final, and you'll be playing Club Atletico Pantoja out of the Dominican Republic on Sunday, right here at 7 o'clock. So Arnett Gardens, a workmanlike and efficient performance tonight. They were never ever in danger of losing this game, and what a wonderful performance from the home team. They've done well. They're good value for this victory. They deserve the victory. Good showing by the Central team, but in the end, the Arnett Gardens team was definitely the better tonight, and it's reflective in the scoreline. So Arnett Gardens winning this by 2-0. So the officials making their way off the field. Good game by referee Brian Lopez and his team of Kedley Powell from the Cayman Islands and Iroots Appleton out of Antigua. That's Marvin Morgan, one of the goal scorers for Arnett Gardens. Well taken goal, and he finished up a brilliant team move. Look at Vishnal Harris. He had a master game tonight. As we look at the highlights of the second 45 minutes of this game, this is Tibble, a ball that's just, well, actually it was Cummings, the number 10. He was doing most of the things for Central in the early stages of the second half. And Arnett Gardens, they themselves were also in it as well. This latest effort there from Russell. Here they come. This is the goal from Marvin Morgan. Look at that. Brilliantly done. He just rolled it away from goalkeeper Marvin Phillips. And his coach is happy with that one. His teammates are too. Who wouldn't be? But look at the pass here. This was almost 2 minutes after that goal from Marvin Morgan. It would have been a replica of that goal. Fabian Reed, very hot striker at the moment, didn't quite get it. Nor did Steve Clark. He came on as a substitute for Marvin Morgan in the second half. And it's a deft touch there from Reed, and Clark dipping this way and that. Eventually Reed got a shot off, didn't wrap his right foot around the ball the way he wanted it. And Eugene Williams, the assistant coach in the camp, and his head coach Jerome Wade having a chat about it. And there have been 1 or 2 flash points in the game as well. The referee had no choice but to dig into his pocket. That was an effort from Charles, and in the end Brian Lopez says that's all she wrote. Let's look at it now. So the possession percentage, Central way ahead, streets ahead of Arnett Gardens, but Arnett will take the top statistic over anything else on that sheet. But the fouls, total of 15, shared almost evenly, and the shots off target, Arnett got a lot. They had 13 shots off target, and the shots on target for them was 4. They got 2 from it, and the Central team didn't manage to find the net tonight. The referee only had to flash his yellow card once, and that's the statistic, and that's what we saw. So waiting on the post-match interviews, which will be joining shortly. Fans are filing out of here. It was a good night of football. So Jerome